Well, okay, from your video, the main topic or the main concern that you had, was, like, not knowing where you belong,
Mhm.
and that's definitely something that I felt as well. I mean, obviously, we grew up in the same town, we're in the same family, so a lot of the stuff that we experience is the same, but I live in the South now, so it's a little bit different for me because I mean, you're not exposed to a large black population, you know, and out here it's a lot different because it's like 54% of the population in Baton Rouge is black. And so, I mean, a majority of the people are, but I don't know like how to communicate with people that are black. I don't know the references. I don't know the culture. Like I'm a complete outsider in that aspect. So I really resonated with you when you were talking about that. And I empathize with it because I'm the same way. Like, yeah, I am black, but I grew up in a white town, going to a white school, um, getting an education, and people saying I sound, look, act white. So now being around people that look more like me or have some similar experiences or upbringing in certain aspects, I can't relate to them. I can't relate to how they talk, the music they listen to, their history or their culture in a lot of different aspects. um so I guess, what's your experience been with that? Like, is it similar? Has it been different?
I would definitely say that like when I was younger, it wasn't as much of like a big thing.
Right.
Um, just because like I just feel like well, like I mean, race is a factor for like, but it's just like it wasn't as talked about. Obviously, like when I was a kid, and then like as I got older and stuff like that, I started to like pick up on that more. And like in junior high, specifically in eighth grade, two black kids moved into our school, and then like my friend Tori, she made a comment and was like, "Oh my god, like there's like eight of us now. Like this is so exciting." And I
Right.
was like, "Oh my god, like wait, yeah, like that's like I never thought about that, but that's like so crazy to me." And then like in my personal friend group, like I feel like I have a pretty diverse friend group, and so just like looking outside of that to be like, "Wait, I realize that like there are people whose like entire friend groups are white and like they don't like even like that doesn't register for them." Like we were standing around a break one time, and then someone like one of my friends leans over to me and she's like, "I just realized that their whole friend group is Asian." And I was like, "Your whole friend group is white and blonde and has blue eyes." Like I don't. And so like for me it's just kind of like other people like I notice it every single day. Like it's something that like I always subconsciously do. Like whenever I walk into a room, I subconsciously look around and I'm like, how many other people of color are in this room? And it's something that I know that my white counterparts are just like not focused on at all.
Right. It's never been something that they've had to either consciously or subconsciously notice, because I feel that way too. At my job now, I'm the only person of color: Black, Asian, Native American. However, I'm the only person of color. And that's really isolating. I mean, they don't think twice about it. But when I'm in a meeting and I'm a female, it's just like nobody takes me seriously. Nobody listens to me. They don't care. I'm just there. In a lot of settings, I'm there to be this, fill the quota that we are a diverse office. We have different representation. But if you don't use my skills, if you don't care about me, then why am I there?
Exactly. Or like freshman year, we were reading To Kill a Mockingbird, and obviously the N word is in that book, right? And so as I was like, we were like listening to a recording of it, and as I was looking on the page, I was like, okay, two more lines, three
Mhm.
more lines, like, and just like thinking about like in my head, and I like looked around and I was like, okay, there's two Asian girls sitting at that table. I'm the only black person in here, and everyone else is white. So if like someone does say it or something like that, like am I gonna say something about it, or am I just like not gonna say anything? Because are there people that are going to be here that are going to back me up, or are they just going to think, oh well, she's the black girl, like she has to say something about it, or like, oh
Right.
well, she's black, so like it only affects her? And I'm like, and or like even like I was reading like one of my friend's essays, and I was reading the essay, and like for me, when I wrote out the n-word, I censored it personally just because I was like, I just feel like in this situation that is the correct course of action, and she didn't. And reading it, and like we didn't ever read our essays aloud, but I was just like in my head I was like, so I'm assuming, like I just that just like kind of rubbed me the wrong way, and I was like, I don't want to say anything because it's not technically like an incorrect thing to do because she's quoting it from the book, but I just was like, I don't know how to navigate something like that. Like, do I say something or do I not say something?
And I mean, that's extremely tricky because she's not going to take offense to that word in the same way that a Black person would. I'm sure she knows that it's not something that you say, but in a literary context and in an educational context, that's really tricky to navigate. And unless it affects you personally, or it's something that can apply to you, I don't know if it would ever be a thought that crossed her mind.
Exactly. And that's like kind of something that like that frustrates me the most is that whenever I feel like whenever I bring up things like that, like in school or just like in life, like we had a like talk about like police brutality and stuff like that last year as like part of a current event. And like I was just sharing my own personal experience because I was like, I know that my mom worries for the safety, like me and my siblings. Like I know that that's true because I've talked to her about it. And I know that like that's something that like my family personally worries about. And like, and I was like, and I don't want to call out the rest of this class because with the exception of like one other kid in there, everyone else was white and he's also Black. But I was just like, with the exception of everyone else in this classroom, like I'm sure that's something that your parents don't think about on a daily basis.
Right.
And maybe something that you should think about, like more, just because something doesn't affect you doesn't mean that it's not something that you should like stop thinking about.
You shouldn't be blind to it just because it's not your personal experience.
Exactly.
And that kind of is another thing that I wanted to talk to you about, because I know we've, a couple years ago, we had a brief discussion about this, that I know we both feel this way, that these are our own thoughts and opinions and experiences, and we are not the spokesperson for Black people. In any context, in any situation, I'm the spokesperson for Tori, you're the spokesperson for Janelle. And this happened to both of us, and I know it happened to Taylor, who, for those of you who don't know, is our sister. It happened to her as well, and I'm sure it happened to Ben and Trey, that anytime race was brought up, anytime slavery was brought up, anytime Jim Crow laws was brought up in school, everybody would stop, find the Black kids in the room, and stare at them and wait for them to weigh in. I was not there. I'm learning about it with you guys as well. Yes, we may have private conversations in our household growing up to make us more aware of these things so we're equipped for the world that we were born into, but I'm not the spokesperson. And that is so, I don't think people understand how rude that is and how wrong that is to put that pressure on a 14-year-old child. And it's wrong of the students to do it. It's wrong of the parents to let their kids, be brought up that way. And it's wrong of the teachers to allow it to happen.
Yeah, I 100% agree. 100% because here's the thing is it's like there's no winning either way because if I don't say something it's like, well, you're Black so you should be saying something. And if
Right.
I do say something it's, oh, well, you're Black so you have to say something. Like your opinion doesn't really matter, but you have to speak on it because it pertains to you. And I'm like, it's ridiculous and it pisses me off because I like literally anything happens at our school that's like racist or like any incident like that at all and people like come to me and tell me and I'm like they'll be like, oh, did you know at like a party last weekend so and so was drunk and said the n-word? What am I to do with that information? Would
Exactly.
you like in that situation you were there, you should have gone and confronted that person and been like, that's not the right thing to do. It's not my job to personally police every single member of the school because I'm Black and they said something that was anti-Black or racist. That's not my job. And people think that it is because they're like, well, I'm white, so it's like it's your thing.
It's your responsibility. There's nothing I can do about it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I was actually listening to Whitney Cummings' podcast, and she had, I forget her last name, I should have looked it up, but Amber from Glee, she was
Oh, Amber Riley.
yes, she was on it. You would love that episode, actually. she was on it, and she was speaking about her hashtag that she has and kind of just the work that she's been doing. And she was talking about how exhausting it is for Black people to be to have the onus of educating white people about these issues, because we've worked for you for hundreds of years for free, and by you demanding us to educate you on American history, it's not just Black history, it's America's history, you're asking us to work for you for free again, just in an educational sense. And that's not fair to us. If you want to have an open and honest and raw conversation, bring some information to the table. Say, I read this book and in it, it said X, Y, and Z. How do you feel about it? That's completely fine, because you're coming with information. You're not saying, okay, go ahead, and just trying to get things out of us. And I thought that was super powerful.
Yeah, I did a panel last year, and we went and talked to like the junior high students for their like diversity day thing. And one of the things that I brought up was the fact that I was like, I just want to let it be known that as much as like I'm here to educate you guys, because that's what I was brought onto this panel to do, it is not your personal job as a person of color to go and educate other people. That is not your job. You can do that if you would like to do that, but I just want to let you know that that is not your personal job. And I remember, because there was like a Q&A portion, but then you could only ask so many questions. And one of the students came up to me afterwards and was like, I just want to like, thank you for saying that, because I feel like I think he was like Indian or something, like he definitely was like Southeast Asian. But he was like, I just want to like say thank you for that, because I feel like I'm the only person ever saying anything as a person of color. And like, I just feel like it gets like tiring. And I was like, yeah, it does. And I was like, and you're 13 and you know that, like, and I just feel like it needs to be taught at a much younger age that it is your job to educate yourself rather than relying on other people to educate you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.